And I am live way earlier than usual because I can't seem to get Sunday afternoons to myself. I will still not be reviewing Batman this week because, as I expected, the NFL will not let me. This has been quite a week in the NFL. A few hours after I was live last week, Tom Brady unretired, which, god damn man, I'm just sick of the show. Like this is it's a little much to me. This whole fucking I retired, now I'm unretired. It's almost like he's just looking for attention. This is a guy that I've loved my entire life. But I mean god damn, these fucking poor guys doing the editing the man in the last episode of Man in the Arena. Like, god damn, dude. Can we just do our fucking job? I'd love to know what happened there in Tampa Bay. I it seemed like there was turmoil there. It seemed like there was trouble between him and Arians. Obviously, something happened with Antonio Brown. I don't think we're ever going to find out the whole story. Um, I it's a weird situation to me because it seemed like he retired because he was sick of the drama in Tampa Bay, and then he unretired and caused more drama. Really doesn't make any sense. Um, of course, after that, they signed Logan Ryan. Not a big deal to me. The Patriots did trade Shaq Mason to the Bucks for a fifth-round pick. They shed some cap space doing it. Uh, as a Patriot fan, I love Shaq Mason. Great player. Oh, I gotta like this fucking point. Great player. Great offensive lineman. One of the better offensive linemen in the league. We had to pay. We were gonna have to pay him $10 million this year. We needed to shed cap space. Michael Onwenu, who can play his position, was a lot younger, maybe even better. Also a lot cheaper. He's already on the roster. Everyone's freaking out like now we just don't have an offensive line, but we have six people on the roster who started games for us in the offensive line. It's a little crazy to me. And I mean, everyone's freaking out. All they could get was a fifth-round pick. They're not realizing that Dallas is moving La'el Collins for the same reason. They couldn't even get a trade partner, and they just had to release him. A lot of free agent offensive linemen on the market still, like La'el Collins, if that's the way how you say his name. If anyone in the comments wants to correct me on that. Trent Brown has made a few visits. It was reported yesterday the Patriots did their usual thing with Trent Brown, where they tell their free agents to test the market and see what's out there, and then come back to them, and they'll see if they can match an offer. I expect Trent Brown back here next year. I think he's a guy the Patriots like. I think he likes being here. Um, Other than that, well, the Cowboys' Twitter account announced that Randy Gregory had re-signed with the Cowboys, and then the Broncos' Twitter account blew that up. That was interesting. I love when people look bad at their jobs. But Randy Gregory signed with Denver instead of re-signing with Dallas. This is a big move to me. For Denver was a top four defense statistically last season. Adding a guy like Randy Gregory, you lost Shelby Harris in the Russell Wilson trade, but you add a guy like Randy Gregory. That fuck it. That's a huge move for Denver. It's easily a top 5 defense in the NFL, I think, again next season. I think easily. And we're having Russell Wilson there, all the weapons that they already have on offense. Denver should be a good team. They should be a good team. The AFC West is going to be very interesting. everyone's acting like we're going to have four power. The thing is, everyone's acting like we're going to have four powerhouses in the AFC West right now. But only one of these teams can win the division. And at most, only two of them are going to make the playoffs because they all have to play each other. And someone's got to lose every one of the games. It's just the way of the world. The other big news to the NFL, especially with the AFC West, is the Davante Adams trade to the Raiders. 5-year, something $100 million contract. He's getting paid an average of $28 million a year. Apparently, it was not about the money. And Green Bay offered him the same thing. He just wanted to move on. And now this is interesting to me here. Because Rodgers came in, signed all that money, and then Adams left. I don't know how they were going to afford to pay Adams that kind of money after what they gave Rodgers anyway. But Rodgers, I don't understand what Green Bay's plan is without Adams, because you brought back Rodgers, you couldn't keep Adams. Now you don't have a receiver. Now you really don't have receivers for him to throw to, and Rodgers is just going to get pissed all year and be whiny and mopey. It's going to be interesting to see how effective Green Bay is without the best wide receiver in football on the field for them all season. As far as Davante Adams in Vegas, yeah, Derek Carr is pretty good. He's not a bad quarterback by any means. He's not great, again, by any means. But he's pretty good. He puts up yards. And you put Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and then Davante Adams on the field. It's plenty of open throwing. It's going to be hard to cover all those guys. It should be a good offense. What brings a problem that I see with it is that when you look ahead down the road, both Hunter Renfrow's and Derek Carr's contracts are up. And if you're paying Davante Adams $28 million a year, can you afford then to bring back both Carr and Renfrow? Probably not. Especially because they're not going to be the only pieces you have to re-sign. I don't know the exact details of the Chandler Jones contract, but that's an interesting one to me on what Vegas will decide to do in the future. Again, I mean, they also, like I said, they added Chandler Jones on the other end of Max Crosby. The Chargers got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on either side of each other. The Chiefs, everyone knows who the Chiefs are. The Broncos, a very good defense last year, added one of the best edge rushers in football, and an all-pro caliber quarterback still in Russell Wilson, as long as he stays healthy and he doesn't get the shit kicked out of him. No, and I mean, him saying that he wants to play another 10, 12 years, he's 33 years old. He's not playing another 12 years. Just because Tom Brady is playing until he's 45 doesn't mean everybody's going to do it. Okay, just because one guy did what is actually supposed to be impossible for someone to do doesn't mean that everybody's going to do the thing that was supposed to be impossible to do. Because otherwise that thing wouldn't be impossible to do. If that makes any sense. Of course, the biggest news of the week, what we're all waiting for. Deshaun Watson made his decision. Now, this was just funny to me because it was for a few days there. It was down to Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, and the Browns. He was going to choose between those four. And then the Browns were out. Then Carolina was out. Now it was Atlanta and New Orleans. He's from Atlanta. Atlanta was going to win. Atlanta was going to get Deshaun Watson. And then I don't know who he was going to throw the ball to or what they were going to do on defense because they don't really have anything going on there. Then all of a sudden it was the Browns, and he chose to go to the Browns. And this is a stunning move. Maybe these guys in the media, like these talking heads, maybe they don't know as much as they swear to us that they know. Has anyone ever thought about this possibility? Because there was supposed to be no way that he was going to the Browns. Apparently, he stayed in contact with the Browns. And, goddamn, they fucking paid him. They guaranteed him $230 million. He got a raise of $12 million a year. Now, this is... I knew that obviously teams are going to be all in on Deshaun Watson after he didn't get any criminal charges in that court case. Again, he's not exonerated of anything, but I still knew NFL teams were going to be all in on him. They can all talk about integrity. They can all put up their International Women's Day tweets. At the end of the day, none of them give a shit. These are billionaire owners who want to win football games. They do not care. There's a reason Ben Roethlisberger had a 20-year career in the NFL after he raped a woman. These owners don't care. They don't care. Deshaun Watson getting a raise like that? That fucking shocks me. I was actually surprised by that. And then the fact that Cleveland even wrote this contract in a way that if Watson ends up getting suspended for this year, he's not going to lose out on any of the big money that's in the contracts. They negotiated this in a way that helps him. And it's, wow. Now, Cleveland, with Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, and Nick Chubb, and already a pretty good defense. On paper, this should be a very good team. This should be a very good team. This is Cleveland. Somehow, some way, this goes sideways as fuck because it's Cleveland. There's no way that I see this working out for Cleveland on the mere fact that it's the Cleveland Browns. That's it. Obviously, now there's a lot of fallout from all of this. Baker Mayfield had already told Cleveland that he wanted to trade. They told him no. Now, this is probably actually where Cleveland got back into it and forced themselves back into it by offering Watson a raise because they realized that their plan of hoping they got Watson and then hoping Baker would forgive him if they didn't wasn't really a good plan. And they couldn't go into an next season without anything at quarterback. So I think after Baker Mayfield made it clear that he didn't want to play there, I think Cleveland forced their way back into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes by giving him an absurd raise. This obviously means now Baker Mayfield is going to get traded. Cleveland sent out 3 first-round picks. I don't think they can recoup a first-round pick for Baker Mayfield, but maybe they can because there's stupid teams in the NFL. I think you got to watch for Carolina in here because I think they're desperate to just try to make a splash and do something more than what they've been doing the past few years. Especially Matt Rule's job is on the line over there. I think he's desperate to make a splash and try to do something. Indianapolis needs a quarterback. Since that Andrew Luck retirement, they have just been in such a weird situation because they're not ready. They're there. They have the pieces there to contend, but they can't get a quarterback. And they've had their experiments the past few years with the ghost of Phillip Rivers, and then the corpse of Carson Wentz. I could see Indy making a move on that. Jimmy Garoppolo makes a lot of sense for Indy, but you also have to look at Atlanta was so in on thinking they were going to get Deshaun Watson that they let Matt Ryan push it. They pushed Matt Ryan's roster bonus until Tuesday to let him try to find other suitors. Matt Ryan, I think, still has a little bit left in the tank. I think Matt Ryan going to certain teams that have pieces in place, I think could still be an effective quarterback, still probably bring you on a playoff run. Then Indianapolis is a team to watch in that situation because I think Indianapolis just wants to get a quarterback in there. And I think they're waiting to find out what Matt Ryan wants to do before they really make a decision. I think that is who they would prefer. I think he changes the game more than a guy like Garoppolo does for you, or a guy like Mayfield. I don't think Baker Mayfield's that good of a quarterback. Desperate teams that are desperate for a quarterback will take Baker Mayfield and will give up something for Baker Mayfield just because he's not that good, but you can get a lot fucking worse than that. I'll be honest. You can get a lot worse than that. Robert Woods did get traded. A lot of this is just small after that. This is obviously the big one. Yeah, like I said, somehow this is going to go sideways for Cleveland. I don't see how it doesn't. I don't know yet how it will go sideways. I just know it will because it's Cleveland. If they end up winning the Super Bowl on this, you can all tell me I'm a fucking idiot, but it's Cleveland. I do have to hit some terrible Twitter takes here. I had one about how Mahomes' contract is one of the biggest bargains in NFL history the other day. The guy's getting paid $45 million a year. It's not a fucking bargain. The time he signed the contract, he was the highest paid player in history. That ain't a bargain. It's just the only reason that he's only the third highest paid player in the game right now is because the next two contracts signed after that outdid it. That's not you can't tell me a guy has a $45 million cap hit a season is a bargain. That's insanity. Then I did see this. These Bills and Chiefs fans are funny. Talking about that Bills-Chiefs playoff game. The two teams that played in that game were contenders, but the two teams who played in the Super Bowl weren't. And, well, that just doesn't make any sense at all. That's all I can really say about that. It just doesn't make sense. And all these Patriots fans are out there flipping out. Every move I see get made, I'm seeing how, oh, man, they're too cheap. These people suck. We need a new GM, even though the GM just won Executive of the Year. We need a new owner. The owner's too cheap because we didn't pay Gunnar Olszewski. Now all of a sudden we can't replace Gunnar Olszewski. Every move that they make, you people have to think is wrong. Every move, they can't make you happy. Last year when they spent all the money, you said Belichick had lost his mind and he was overpaying everyone. Now he's not spending any money because he doesn't have that much cap space, and you're saying that he's too goddamn cheap. Which is it? Make up your minds. But the part that really bothers me here is that, look, it's okay to question. It's okay to question decisions. It is. But there is just like hatred for these two. You want them out of here. That's what these. All I hear I hear hatred for Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick. These two should be being treated like fucking royalty here for what they've done. I understand that Brady left, and I understand that you all love Brady. But you know what? Everything that Tom Brady did for us while he was here, Bill Belichick and Bob Kraft were there for too. This team was headed to fucking Connecticut, and Bob Kraft kept it here. And now 20 years later, he's too cheap. 20 years and 6 Super Bowls later, he's too cheap. Fuck off. Give these two the respect they deserve. I've met Bob Kraft. I thought he was a little fucking rude in person. The dude's still a hero. We still have a football team in New England and not in fucking Connecticut because of Bob Kraft. We have 6 rings. We have 6 trophies. because of Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick. Yeah, Tom Brady helped too, but the other guys were there for it too. I'm tired of all this negativity. You can question moves, but all this, anytime a move gets made, we have to talk about how cheap the Patriots are. And it's all because you guys pay too much attention to these talking heads in the media. Like Evan Lazar got absolutely blown up by Cordarrelle Patterson, was fucking hilarious because he talked out of his ass and tried to make it seem like the Patriots are too cheap. And then it turned out they never even talked to Cordarrelle Patterson. They weren't even interested. But you have to put out a story that they were too cheap, right? You know what's bad when guys like Greg Bedard make good points? It's just enough of just. Oh, and anyone who's telling me that we need to replace Bill Belichick as GM, I want your top 3 candidates to replace the reigning executive of the year in the NFL. Just give me your top 3 candidates. Anyways, that's all I got for you this week, folks. Don't forget, this episode has been brought to you by CreationSnacks.com. Use code BCMG for 20% off. They got some great stuff over there. Anyway, I'll be back next week, hopefully at my regular time. Maybe I'll even review Batman next week. Who knows?